Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Wednesday Bhagavad Gita class. And our fortunate we have His Grace Daiva Prabhu today. He is from Hawaii, but originally from Denver. But is Srila Prabhupada disciple and serving the Hawaii community. Is head pujari there, and he also helped the homeless people to teach them how to do a farming. And then now they are all working in the farms in Hawaii. So he started this non-profit organization called Lolima Eco-Friendly Farms, which is helping, like right now in Silicon Valley, what we do, we go and distribute prasadam to the, in the homeless people in San Francisco. But Prabhu, one step ahead, went and trained them and show how to live according to Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So please loudly welcome His Grace Daiva Prabhu by loudly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Daiva Prabhu ki jai.
It's probably, is it, no? I'm sorry, we just got caught in traffic here in Silicon Valley.
We are stuck in traffic.
Can you adjust this?
Yeah, sure. Richard Prabhu, can you adjust this mic?
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Thai Gaur Premanandi. Jai Radha Madhava? Madan Mohan. Radha Madan Mohan. So we'll start with Jai Radha Madhava, like Prabhupada would do before giving class. And first I want to offer up my obeisances to all the assembled devotees. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasinubhyevacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandanam Brajajana Ranjanam Jashodanandanam Brajajana Ranjanam Jamnatira Vanachariyam Jamuna Thira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaur, Haribol. Jaya Radha, Madan Mohan Radha, Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radha, Madan Mohan Radha, Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa, Privrajacharya, Ashatar Sata Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanana Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa, Privrajacharya, Ashatar Sata Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami, Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. ISKCON Silicon Valley Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories unto the assembled devotees. Jai Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let's see. Which is the verse that was announced that we were going to? Does somebody have that? I had an unusually busy day, and I had to. I got a little distracted. Which verse is it? Does anybody know? Let's see. I have to look it up here. Page 21. So, reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme, text number 21. Avyakto kshara ityuktas tamahu paramam gatim yang prapyana nivartante tadama paramam mamam. Let's see if we can repeat this. Avyakto kshara ityuktas tam ahu paramam gatim yam prapya na nivartante tad dhamma paramam mama. Word for word. Avyakta, unmanifested. Akshara, infallible. Iti, thus. Yukta, is said. Tam, that. Ahu, is known. Paramam, the ultimate. Gatim, destination. Yam, which. Prapya, gaining. Na, never. Nivartante, come back. Tat, that. Dhamma, abode. Paramam, supreme. Mama, my. A translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. That which the Vedantists described as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. Please repeat. That which the Vedantas describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns. That is my supreme abode. Srila Prabhupada's purport, or emotional ecstasy, as Prabhupada would say. The supreme abode of the personality of Godhead Krishna is described in the Brahma Samhita as Chintamani Dham, a place where all desires are fulfilled. The supreme abode of Lord Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavan, is full of palaces made of touchstone. There are also trees called desire trees that supply any type of eatable upon demand. Better than video on demand or something, you know. Eatables upon demand, any eatables. And there are cows known as Surabhi cows, which supply a limitless supply of milk. In this abode, the Lord is served by hundreds of thousands of goddesses of fortune, Lakshmis, and he is called Govinda, the primal Lord and the cause of all causes. The Lord is accustomed to blow his flute Venum Kanvantam. His transcendental form is the most attractive in all the worlds. His eyes are like lotus petals, and the color of his body is like the color of clouds. He is so attractive that his beauty excels that of thousands of cupids. He wears saffron cloth, a garland around his neck, and a peacock feather in his hair. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gives only a small hint of his personal abode, Goloka Vrindavan, which is the supermost planet in the spiritual kingdom. A vivid description is given in the Brahma Samhita. Vedic literature's Kathopanishad 1.3.11 states that there is nothing superior to the abode of the Supreme Godhead, and that abode is the ultimate destination, Purushana Param Kinchit Sakarshta Param Gati. When one attains to it, he never returns to the material world. Krishna's supreme abode and Krishna himself are non-different, being of the same quality. On this earth, Vrindavan, 90 miles southeast of Delhi, is a replica of that supreme Goloka Vrindavan located in the spiritual sky. When Krishna descended on this earth, he sported on that particular tract of land known as Vrindavan, comprising about 84 square miles in the district of Mathura, India. Avyakto kshara ityuktas tangahu paramam gatim yang prapyana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. That which the Vedantists describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshusunmilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. It's wonderful to be in Silicon Valley again. This is my second trip. By the grace of Sri Krishna Purushottam Prabhu. It's a wonderful community here, so I'm honored to be in your wonderful presence of all these nice Vaishnavas who are just like the desire trees that we're talking about here in the Bhagavad Gita. I heard a lecture once when I was dressing Panchatattva on the altar, and Prabhupada said, and I'd never heard this before, I heard this just a few months ago, there's always some new nectar showers of nectar from Prabhupada all the time. There's no shortage. He was saying that these desire trees, these kalpavriksha trees in the spiritual world, just like it says here, you can get any eatable from them. Usually it's described that it's fruit. It's some kind of fruit, and these you can get any fruit from the tree. You can get a mango, you can get a sitapal, you can get lilikoi in Hawaii. We have lilikoi. We have, of course, many mangoes. We have lychee. We have so many exotic fruits. But he also said in this lecture I was listening to, you can also order samosa and kachori. Prabhupada is so fond of samosa and kachori. He also said about these two particular eatables that we should have farms, and the farms, this is a quote, May 1976, I keep it on my refrigerator door. May 1976, Honolulu, Prabhupada said, I have been giving this idea that our farms should supply the restaurants, Govinda's restaurants, with ghee, ahimsa ghee. And this should be used to make kachori and samosa. Again, kachori and samosa, kachori mukha ki. And there'll never be any shortage of Lakshmi. And your whole country will become a Krishna-conscious country. The power of samosa and kachori. So this is available in the Chintamani Dham. Of course, it's for offering to Krishna. And we know the story of Sanatana Goswami, and he sat underneath a tree, and he wanted to serve Krishna, and Radha herself came and gave him a wonderful preparation so he could make a nice feast offering for the Lord. So this Chintamani is a very interesting subject matter. The Chintamani, wish-fulfilling trees. The Kamadhenu cows, the Surabi cows, are also considered wish-fulfilling. All desires are fulfilled. Let me read that again. The supreme abode of the personality of Godhead Krishna is described in the Brahma Samhita as Chintamani Dham, a place where all desires are fulfilled. So this is our problem in the material world. I was thinking this morning that we can either be, this was after I'm going to share an amazing lecture with you by Shiva Ram Swami. But after I listened to this morning, I was thinking we can either go to Goloka, the planet of the cows, or we can stay in Egoloka. So that's basically our philosophy, right? we can stay in this material world and try to fulfill all our material desires, which we've been trying to do birth after birth after birth to no success. Our struggle for existence keeps us bound up in myriads and myriads of forms of life, in the ocean as aquatics, in the air as birds, in the ocean as sharks or dolphins. And if we're not satisfied with that, then we take a human form of life and we still want to surf all day. That was a little Hawaiian humor thrown in there, but when Prabhupada was walking along this beautiful beach area in Hawaii on the island of Oahu, he had never seen surfers before. We all know the story, and he pointed to the surfers on their surfboards, very common in beach towns. And so he asked the devotees, "What is that?" And they told him, "That's Prabhupada, that's suffering." And then he commented as his pure crystalline devotional consciousness was always seeing everything in a Krishna conscious way. He commented, if they meditate too much on this sport, they'll become aquatics in their next life, dolphins or sharks, like that. So we stay in the material world in traversing Egoloka and so many lokas, and we create our own ecosystem. And we suffer, and the pure devotee, by his mercy, he comes and the guru pulls the ear of the disciple and gives him the mantra and is always encouraging us to wake up to the reality because we're sleeping in the lap of a witch called Maya, and trying to attract us to go back to Goloka, the planet of the cows, the planet of where all desires are fulfilled, and no one is ever having to take sleeping pills and so many artificial means of so-called happiness or remedies to cover over the lack of happiness that we have in this material world. So that's our choice. I want to read this lecture I was referring to by Shiva Ram Swami, because I am visiting here with Sri Krishna Purushottam Das, who's the continental coordinator for ISKCON's Om Shri Sarabi campaign. Om Shri Sarabhyaya Namaha, Harivo. And there was a GBC mandate that every class have how much percentage? 30% talking about Daiva Varnashram, Prabhupada's vision for establishing farm communities that are connected to the temples. Because Prabhupada didn't want us to work our whole lives, just to struggle to survive and then hope for a happy retirement. He wanted us to do what you are all doing, to work hard, but use your time in preaching and distributing books. And congratulations, number one. Haribo. It's really a nice example, because when I was distributing books at the airports in those days when we were distributing books in the airports around the country, in America in particular, that Sankirtan activity was very much appreciated by Prabhupada. In those days, the BBT books would be hot off the press, and Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam would be placed on the altar, and those of us who were living in the temples, and especially the book distributors, that we would see the new Bhagavatams, and we would be so enlivened to either purchase them ourselves. As a new devotee, I would see them when I'd visit the Denver temple in front of Radha Govinda, and be enlivened, and I'd spend all my what is it called, work study money on the new books, and I'd be broke the rest of the week. But the devotees were so kind, they'd give me a whole half-gallon milk carton full of blueberry halava, and I think that's how I became a devotee, or trying to become a devotee. But that was, and you're continuing that legacy so nicely, so thank you very much for serving Prabhupada in such a wonderful way. But I'm going to read this, because of the Sri Surabi campaign. And by the way, I'm the national coordinator under Bhakti Raghava Swami, and working with Sri Krishna Purushottam Das, and that's why I'm here, because there's some really nice things happening when your community, and I don't know how many of you are contributing to the cow protection program in some way. I don't mean just financially, but through your support, through your expertise, through your talent, through any skill set that you have. You started with this one Surabi cow, and it's a wish-fulfilling touchstone. And by doing that, there'll be so much auspiciousness, and Sri Krishna Purushottam over the next few weeks and into the next few months, he'll be sharing some of the developments in that regard. There's no loss or diminution in Krishna consciousness, and especially when we connect with Mother Surabi and Father Bull, the emblems and pillars of Dharma. So I'm going to read this. It's a very bold lecture that Shivaram Swami gave some years ago, 2010. So August, so almost 7 years ago. But it's very timely. To preface, Prabhupada, how many of you know, if I ask the question, what Prabhupada's final lamentation was? How many people in this room, if by a show of hands, would know the answer to that? What was Prabhupada's final lamentation? One. Okay. Nobody else? Okay. So that's our duty as members of the Sri Surabi campaign. It's a 12-year campaign to raise awareness amongst devotees about Prabhupada's final request. So Prabhupada was with his nurse at the time during his last final pastimes on this planet with us, manifest pastimes. He still has his pastimes, especially here in Silicon Valley. But during the time when he was about ready to depart, they asked him, his nurse and some other devotees that were surrounding him at the time when he was still translating in that condition of before his so-called demise. Prabhupada, do you have any regrets, lamentation about your service to Krishna and Guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta? And Prabhupada said, no, you know. But then he paused, and then he reflected, and he said, there is one. I haven't taught my disciples how to live depending on Krishna and the land. So he was talking a lot about Daiva Varnashram at that time. He was throughout, if you study Prabhupada's, I call it the strategic plan of Mahaprabhu and Prabhupada's strategic plan to inundate the whole world with love of God and to reach every town and village with the holy name. There's a strategic plan involved, and those of us who, I didn't hear it until I heard from Bhakti Raghava Swami, who is the head of the Sri Sarabi campaign, Om Sri Sarabi campaign. And he came visiting Hawaii. He was on tour around the country, around the world. If you look at his itinerary, he's on the go a lot. I think he's going to settle down a little bit in Sharanagati and do some more writing and establish a Varnashram college there in that farm community. But he came to Hawaii for a few days, and I had never heard anyone speak about Prabhupada's vision for these farm communities like he had. And as Krishna Purushottam mentioned in my introduction, that I've been doing something with the homeless and teaching them how to grow food as a solution to hunger and poverty. That's the mission of my nonprofit that I started for Prabhupada. It's called LEAF. So I don't want to offer Krishna just a few fruits and vegetables. I want to offer him the whole islands of Hawaii and lots of wonderful fruits and vegetables in Boga Prasadam. And here in Silicon Valley, if I can help in any way, and all over as a national coordinator in USA. But I had started that, but when I heard Bhakti Raghava Swami speaking about this strategic plan and Prabhupada's final lamentation and how much we're dependent on Mother Sarabi and what the campaign's all about, I've been a Sankirtan devotee for many years, but I always thought Sankirtan is Brihat Mridanga. It means either congregational chanting, Harinam, Sankirtan, or book distribution. But I never connected it to the farms until I heard from him, and I'll explain what that means. Now, Prabhupada we all know he's the ambassador from the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. He was predicted by Bhaktivinoda Thakur as Senapati General of the Sankirtan movement. So he gives the orders and assembles his armies, and look how much he did, because he was doing it very strategically. The writing and then sending it to the BBT, and then it was edited and then printed, and the books went out like bombs during the war, right? So Senapati, he was predicted by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and also Narada Muni also predicted in Bhagavatam Prabhupada's coming. So we have to understand that Prabhupada's Sankirtan isn't just limited to one arena. It's described that there's 4 waves of the Sankirtan movement, and we haven't even seen the big waves, the tsunami waves that are going to inundate this world. You know, you're all preachers, you're all dedicated to book distribution, because that's the focus of this wonderful temple under Vaisheshika Prabhu Ki Jai, my dear God brother. But when I heard Bhakti Raghava Swami speak for the first time about the Sri Sarabi campaign, he was explaining that in 1949 and in 1956 that Prabhupada was writing about the 4 waves of the Sankirtan movement. And those are, 1, when Prabhupada, as the spiritual ambassador, followed the order of his guru and came to America, what did he do first? One of the first things that he did was go out by himself with the bongo drum, right? There was no mridanga. Underneath that famous tree now at Tompkins Square Park in New York City, and he chanted the holy names. And somehow there are some hippies and some new devotees, potential devotees, eventual devotees, heard that, and they had been to India, and they were looking for a guru, and it was the right time. And that's the first wave. That's called the preaching, there's the preaching. No, that came later. That's the first wave, the wave of preaching, the preaching wave. Getting people the opportunity to hear Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtan, the descent of the holy name manifested through the Harinam and Kirtan. And then the second wave was a deity worship and spiritual initiation. So once the Westerners started hearing the holy name and becoming purified, Prabhupada trained them further in deity worship, or gave them spiritual initiation, Harinam initiation, and then introduced them to deity worship and Gayatri initiation. And build temples and congregational development. And book distribution then was introduced more and more. And so that's, I'm not getting this all right, the 1, 2, 3. Finally, the fourth wave is what Prabhupada called a classless society. So we have temples. People are introduced through the books to Krishna consciousness, but then how will Lord Chaitanya's prediction in every town and village manifest? Prabhupada predicted that in the future, Krishna consciousness will save humanity from its darkest hour. Now, if we break that down, what does that mean? That means that there's going to be some major calamity in the world due to the karma of killing the cows, killing the child in the womb, intoxication, all of the anomalies of Kali Yuga will catch up to the poor civilization because of bad leadership and because of the influence of Kali Yuga, and so many people are deep in the dark modes of passion and ignorance and don't even know what mode of goodness is. It'll catch up and there'll be some major catastrophe. And Prabhupada predicted that at that time, Krishna consciousness movement will save people from their darkest hour. And at that time, people will come to our farm communities, Prabhupada said specifically, and we have to teach them how to grow food, and we have to give them housing, and we have to give them prasadam, and they'll become devotees by the millions. And that's how Krishna consciousness will take a really big effect on the planet. So Prabhupada predicted this. Everything that was predicted by his astrologer came to manifest, so everything he predicts will come true. So now I'm going to start reading this. I think you'll be very enlivened by hearing this. It's very bold. If I said this just in the lecture without paraphrasing that it's from Shivaram Swami, I might get thrown out, so get ready. The title of this article is, "What Are You Doing for Cow Protection?" Okay. Krishni Goraksha Vanijya. Krishni means plowing or agriculture, and Goraksha, cow protection. These are the staples of society. This is what people live on. All living entities subsist on grains. So the Kshatriyas may direct and instruct people. The Brahmanas may perform their yagyas, but if they don't eat, then giving shelter or instruction is not going to work. That eating is therefore the most essential aspect of life, and this is why the Vaishyas and their assistants, the Shudras, are so integral that the other castes think that they are the most important people, because it is actually they who are feeding. Of course, the Vaishyas think that the Brahmanas are the most important because they are taking the result of their work and offering it back to the Lord. Srila Prabhupada said that this very common type of exchange was there, but the responsibility of this Goraksha is the duty of just some people, some very exclusive people? Is it the responsibility of all Vaishyas, or is it for all Grihastas or all devotees? My proposition is that it is everyone's responsibility, just like everyone's responsibility is chanting Hare Krishna, watering Tulsi Devi, reading Bhagavatam. Similarly, part of our common dharma is to protect cows. This is something that you see ingrained in communities like Bhaktivedanta Manor, where they have to limit the amount of cows they receive as gifts and be careful about the type of food that is offered to the cows, because to a greater or lesser degree, all the devotees see the protection of cows as their dharma. It is everyone's dharma. The cow is our mother. She gives us milk, while all over the rest of the world, cows are being butchered, slaughtered, abused, and taken advantage of. Vaishnavas must take it as their responsibility to protect cows. Now, how do you protect cows? Does that mean you have a cow on your balcony in downtown Silicon Valley? It says Singapore here. No. That type of cow protection is actually cow abuse. You cannot just keep your own cow. Cows only give milk if they have calves, which means you have to constantly have calves, which means you have to have a herd, and that is a full-time business. So how is it that individuals should protect cows? They should, in some way or other, be connected to ISKCON's herds. Srila Prabhupada established cow protection, for instance, in New Vrindavan, Gita Nagari, or as we have done here in Hungary at New Vrajadam. These herds are not the sole responsibility or duty of the local devotees in those places. They are responsibility of the devotees and congregation of the local country. It is their responsibility to contribute to the cow protection, to donate towards the maintenance of the cow, to come and do some cow seva. And when they come to the temple, they should bring some boga, food for the cows, to find out what items are needed by the cowherds. Cow protection is everyone's business. It is everyone's responsibility. This is being written down as Varnashram Dharma. If one does not contribute or participate directly in cow protection, then he should know that he is neglecting his dharma. In other words, he is a dharmic. This is, in my view, the greater picture of what Varnashram means. Varnashram doesn't mean that we simply philosophize about a way of life, but what are the duties of the Varnas and ashrams? What are the duties that are common for all Vaishnavas, for all humans? And one of them is the protection of cows, just like chanting Hare Krishna is a common responsibility, as mentioned earlier. So, similarly, cow protection is a common responsibility for everyone. It doesn't necessarily always occur to us, and even when it does, it's difficult to get devotees interested. More difficult than getting devotees to do Sankirtan. More difficult than getting someone to cook in the kitchen or be temple president is to get devotees to be cowherds. To make devotees work with the cows, the bulls, and the oxen, and to make that their life, it is very difficult for devotees to do this. Quote, I am an educated person, I have this diploma, and you want me to take care of cows? You want me to do that thing that God does? You want me to do that activity that's going on in the spiritual world? And that is what is going on in the spiritual world. That is what is going on where we are going. At least where I want to go is where there is only gopas and gopis. The whole identity, the whole social identity is based on on cows. There are milkmaids and there are cowherd men. And if we are not willing to be milkmaids and cowherd men here in the material world, if this service is beyond us and we cannot foresee how we are going to dedicate our lives to working with the cows, then where are we going? Then you had better look for somewhere else other than Braja. Then you had better go to Dwarka or Vaikuntha, where that is not a compulsory, integral part of life. Because in the spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna goes out every day to tend cows. And yet, it is so difficult to get devotees to be cowherds, to see that this is a respectable future, and to stick with that service. Because once again, cow protection is something that we talk about as being against the principles of slaughtering the animals. We don't believe in slaughtering the cow. We don't believe in eating the meat of the cow. Cows should be properly protected. But when it comes to properly protecting the cows, are we willing to do it? Are we actually willing to dedicate our lives to taking care of cows? Or are we willing to participate and support the protection of cows? Therefore, we should ask, what am I doing for protecting my mother? What am I doing to sustain cow protection in my zone? It is my responsibility, my duty as a Vaishnava. Am I performing my dharmic duty? What time is it? Oh, 7:10. So our movement is cow-centric. It's meant for economics, spiritual economics based on taking care of the mother, Surabhi, and utilizing her byproducts in so many ways. There's so many wonderful products that are medicinal, that are good for the body, that are good for the soul. How many devotees know, and I just learned this because since I've become more involved in the cow campaign, the Surabhi campaign, is if you massage the ger cows that have the loose folds of skin here, and you just by massaging that, it softens the heart. This is an example. My good friend is Daiva Prabhu, head of ISKCON, previously in New Vrindavan, moved to Gainesville with his herd of cows. A good friend of mine, he was born in Hawaii, or he grew up in Hawaii. So I've gotten to know him. In fact, he inspired me to do the Leaf Project. But he tells me that over the years he's learned that by associating with the cows and training the bulls for oxen, or just associating with the cows, that you learn qualities that are in the mode of goodness, like tolerance and patience, and almost like raising a child, but even requires more dedication. So many valuable gifts, not just physical gifts that you get from the cow, but qualities that you can derive from their association. And we're not connected to the cows in our modern cities. It's not even allowed. So here you have connection to the Surabhi cow. If you're not giving a donation for that cow protection program, consider even the Sri Surabhi campaign. You can give $1 a month, $12 a year. It adds up. If 1,000 devotees were giving $12 a month, that's $12,000 for the campaign. And the campaign would wants to use that to give grants to temples who need help, either getting land or getting cow herds trained, or so many activities that need to happen to fulfill Prabhupada's lamentation. So, Chintamani Dham, do we want to, everything that we do in Krishna consciousness, I call it on-the-job training, especially for me, like deity worship. You're getting to do the activities that we're going to end up doing, in the spiritual world. We're chanting Hare Krishna mantra, we'll be doing that in the spiritual world. Everything we do and we're taught to do in Krishna consciousness, we're not going to give it up. Because it's not boring, it's ever fresh, and it's ever increasing in ecstasy. Like with the deity worship, we're getting to touch the feet of the deity and put tulsi leaves on the feet and dress them. So some of the residents of Braj, they get to help Mother Yashoda dress Krishna. So the same thing with, I was explaining before how Prabhupada's the cultural ambassador, the spiritual emissary from Goloka Vrindavan, and he came with, I explained the holy name, and he came with the entire Goloka Vrindavan manifestation and gave it to this world in different forms. So the holy name came through kirtan and japa. So the name has come in that way. Golokara Premadan Harinam Sankirtan. And how did the pastimes come? You all know this answer. How have the pastimes and the qualities of Krishna come? Through the books, Grantaraj. So we wouldn't know about Krishna's fame and pastimes and through without that medium of Prabhupada's translations, pure translations. So the name, fame, beauty has come through the deity worship. Name, fame, beauty, And how has the how has he brought the Surabi? The Surabi he has brought through the farm villages and through introducing us to cow protection. So everything that is in the spiritual world, Prabhupada is our transcendental importer, ambassador. I call him an importer. It's like somebody is an importer. They carry things from their country. They're importing. So Prabhupada brought all these things and gave them to everyone. And this way, he said, we can have Vrindavan villages, make Vrindavan villages. We can have the spiritual world in this lifetime. We can create this whole world, this whole country, this whole world, this whole planet can be transformed into Vaikuntha by the book distribution, by the chanting of Hare Krishna, any of these processes. But Prabhupada wanted us to introduce people to the Vedic village life also. So we talk about Krishna, as Sri Ram Swami was explaining in this article, how he's a cowherd boy and how important and dear the cows are to Krishna. But are we connected to the cows? It's a Brahminical society, and we could do so many Brahminical activities, but if we're not connected to the cow, there's a big piece of the Brahminical lifestyle that's missing. And it's incumbent upon us to help relieve Prabhupada's distress that he expressed to establish Daiva Varnashram communities. I was initiated August 1977, Balaram's appearance day. So that was 3 months before Prabhupada went back to Godhead. I was given the name Daiva Das. My godbrother at the time was given the name Varnashram Das. So Prabhupada was stressing this last final wave of the Sankirtan strategy a lot in those days. But we see, even in the early days, Prabhupada was juggling so much. He was doing all the 4 waves. He was opening temples. He was training devotees. He was installing deities. He was publishing the books. He was traveling all over the world. He was opening farm communities. So he was doing it all. And he was in emergency mode. I mean, Prabhupada was only with us from 65 to 77, 12 years. And look how much he accomplished in 12 years. There's statements where Prabhupada said about the farm villages, creating the Vrindavan villages. He said, do this immediately. And it's 40 years later, plus. Actually, if you think about it, when Prabhupada was already writing about this before he even came to America, he had this plan. But when he actually asked his disciples to do this, it was when he started Gita Nagari. He wrote Gita Nagari Prophecy in 1956. In that, Prabhupada had a plan how to, Gita Nagari literally means the village where the Gita is demonstrated. The instructions that Krishna gives in the Gita are demonstrated. So I was talking to the nice devotees that I'm staying with, my hosts Sukeshri and Ravi Prabhu, and about they were talking and sharing this from their perspective, that in their retirement they want to live simple so that they could just do devotional service full time and not have to pay a mortgage and put their kids through school and everything. But those are all responsible activities that you're all doing. But look at your, of course, devotees never retire. As Prabhupada said, I'll fight with my boots on. Fight dying with my boots on, like a general. We should look at and now I'll touch specifically on the theme of tonight's class, which is natural prosperity. So the city doesn't mean natural prosperity. It's very artificial. The walls are made of concrete, and the floors are made out of, and especially nowadays, out of unnatural, so-called looking woods and this and that. But real opulence Prabhupada describes is in fresh fruits and vegetables and grains and sugar and rice and grains and gold and minerals and share a little bit about the beautiful culture of Hawaii. I met an authentic Hawaiian cultural practitioner once. I've met several, and the Hawaiian culture is very similar in many ways to Vedic culture. They offer mala, aloha. Aloha means in the presence of ha. Alo means in the presence of, and ha means the breath of life. So aloha really means I'm recognizing your soul, your spirit, your breath, energy that gives you life. That greeting is there, like that. But I was listening to one cultural practitioner who was explaining how the Hawaiians would live close to nature in an ethnobotanical model, which every indigenous culture has an ethnobotanical model of living, where all their basic foods, other basic necessities of life are taken care of sustainably, their food, their cloth, their shelter, and their medicine, and it's all derived from their location that they're at. And so he was explaining that the word water in Hawaiian is vai, like Waikiki, vai means water. And when you say vai twice, that means wealth. So the wealth of nature, natural opulence, is if you're connected to water, to a river, to a stream. So he says in the Hawaiians would meditate on taking 3 baths a day. The first was under a waterfall, the natural water that would create a waterfall. And there's even, you can, in some places, and I've experienced this personally, you can go to a waterfall, you take your shower, and then you reach out, and there's a plant. It's called avapui. It's like a ginger-looking plant. It's a heliconia. And you cut off this piece of the flower that's growing on the top, and it's shampoo, instead of opening a bottle. So natural opulence is what is derived from nature. When Prabhupada came to Hawaii the first few years, there wasn't a temple, of course, so Govinda Dasi and her husband Guru Sundar, they would rent a beachfront house for Prabhupada because he liked to be on the ocean and walk along the ocean. He said there's great vitamin value in breathing the ocean air, vitamin value, Prabhupada said vitamins, by breathing the ocean air. And so one time when he stayed at the first house, he went out into the yard area and practically cooked a whole feast just from what was growing on the property. He made a pakora out of some papaya flour and different things that were growing, and he made a whole feast practically just from what was growing. So this is real natural opulence, depending on Krishna land and the cows. This is how Krishna chooses to live. And really, any rich person, when they become very wealthy, they just want to get back to nature. And so why wait? Why should we wait? As Vaishnavas, we have to connect with our mother. Otherwise, we're orphans. If anyone doesn't have the Om Shri Surabi campaign, Surabi prayer and oath, you can get a copy and make that part of your sadhana. And also put a cow on your altar. We have 2 cows on our altar in Hawaii, and I offer them artik when I'm doing the artik. They're included. Something, connect with the cows. If you can donate to your local campaign, that's always the best because you're supporting your local community. But if you want to support a more international campaign, then go to Sri Surabi campaign, or if you can, do both or more. Whatever you can do, connect. And you'll feel the difference by connecting with Mother Surabi and praying for her blessings. The first chapati goes to the cow. Krishna, even the brahmanas, they come second to the cow. Bhakti Raghava Swami explains we wouldn't have initiations without the cow because there'd be no ghee. We wouldn't have any deity installations because there'd be no ghee for the jagya. And jagya means offering oblations into the fire. And when Bhakti Raghava Swami was on the big island of Hawaii with us doing the chant and plant tour, chant and plant, he gave a class, and the verse of that day, or that morning Bhagavatam class, was talking about Krishna accepts offerings, or Vishnu accepts offerings only if they're laden with ghee. And I hear you're spending how many? 40 gallons a month? 40 gallons a month for the deities and for the devotees, so that's why you're also intelligent. But the more you research about cows and their byproducts, the Gir cow are the best. Gir, G-I-R, look it up. They produce a milk that's called A2. There's A1 and A2 scientifically. The A2 is the one that Prabhupada describes in the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam describes that by taking this elixir from the best cows that are descendants of the Surabhi, that have the hump, because that hump has a nerve going through it that goes to the milk production system there and the udders, like no udder, and and it gets the energy from the sun, and that's why it's the color of the sun, and that's the real ojas, the real potency of the milk that nourishes the brain for higher thinking, and we need to distribute prasadam like that to the general public. Of course, it's Kali Yuga, and there's a controversy about being vegan or not, and Prabhupada never became vegan because he's such a cowherd, but I admire devotees like Bhakti Raghava Swami and Sri Krishna Purushottam Prabhu and others who have taken a vow not to take anything that's not from ahimsa cows because they're taking a strong stand like Gandhi, only Khadi, So, very admirable, but we need to get cows that are protected and stop the insane mistreatment of Mother Surabhi by being part of it in some way. And the big vision is to have an eco-village, like something like the farm in Hungary and Shivaram Swami's farm, where everyone can live close together and the devotees can serve nicely and not have to work 9 to 5. I was just talking to my devotee friend on the Big Island who has 8 cows, and he said he was growing, the more he grew the native Hawaiian plants that are meant to grow in that area, the less work he had to do. So it's a real art and science of farming. And so natural prosperity will flourish not only in our own devotee communities but throughout the world when people's brains are nourished by real milk products, real prasadam products, and we're worshipping the deities, so they should get first-class bhog. And that comes from their cows, and they should own so many cows. And there will be no shortage of anything. So many blessings will come. So support Mother Surabhi in any way you can, as much as you can. Okay, we'll stop there for reflections and questions.
I have a small announcement.
Oh, okay. You want to come?
No, I Hare Krishna. We have that website I can show after, maybe before the end of the class, and I also have a small video to show. You want to go questions first or the video first? It's your wish. Like Chintamani desire tree. So video? Okay. Hopefully it will work.
This is nice.
Oh, there are no sound. Okay, no sound. Something need to increase there.
Sound?
Is there any button?
That's the one, right? This should be there. Yeah, this.
Oh, there it is.
Where it's from? What is that?
I think we can take questions in the meanwhile. We'll figure it out, the sound.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the nice class. So there is a milk company here, which
What company?
a milk dairy company.
Oh, dairy.
So
Milk.
they named the milk as A2 Milk, and their milk company's name is also the A2 Milk Company. I think they're originally from Denver, Colorado. Boulder, I think. So I wanted to know from you, like, how authentic these milks are. Are these real A2 milk, or they just do publicity? And
Yeah, please answer.
So the A2 milk, it's first of all it's Himsa. It comes from the dairy farms in California, or Himsa, not Ahimsa. And moreover, they add a vitamin D3, which is comes from the sheep wool. So you are fasting on Ekadashi, Dwadasi morning you drink this milk, which is having sheep wool in it. That's not considered as. That's why I looked at it and I also wrote to them, saying that what is vitamin D3 means. Vitamin D3 is called. It comes from the sheep wool. So it's not authentic. That means.
so, and Prabhu, what about the organic milks that are like prevalent here? So what's your thought on those?
What's your question specifically
The
about
organic milks, because when I was in the Denver temple, so there actually they specifically mentioned which milks you can bring as offering to the Lord. So they mentioned one specific organic milk brand there. So, but how good are these organic milks?
Well, the ideal is that the cows are protected, and who's doing that? Are they going to be taken care of in goshalas their whole life, or are they going to be slaughtered? It's companies, you can ask them, and they say, "Oh yeah, we're taking good care of them." But until I drink organic milk myself because I need as much brain tissue as I can get, but. Ideally, we should be striving for the ideal. We should look at how we can support the devotees who are protecting the cows. You have one here, Surabi. Her name is. Do you know that cow?
Yeah, I heard.
You've heard. So if you can support that in any way, do that. That's better than just continue drinking milk, the purest one you can get, and try to get the mercy of the benefit of the prasadam that's offered to the deities. But figure out better how you can increase the number of ahimsa cows that this community owns, better than just stopgap solution and.
This one? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Increase it more.
Mm-hmm. And I was just going to say about that A2 milk. It's not ahimsa. It's not ahimsa. The ahimsa is the main thing. Are they protected cows? Are they cows that are being treated like they should be? Are they devotees? They should be devotee cows. So all these other companies, they're not devotee cows. They're because when the art of taking however much love and affection and care you give to a cow, that's going to determine its consciousness. Are we ready to go? Okay.
So we are ready, Prabhu. We'll just play the sound here. Okay.
Play full screen.
ಅದು ಮುಖ್ಯ Hello. Okay, sir. Sir, people don't want to conserve indigenous cows or native cows because we get less milk from that. Products is less. They don't think of quality of the milk or products. I want the quality of milk, but they want to grow the hybrids because they want quantity. They want money. They are money mongers. In the matter of money, you may think I am a loser. But life-wise, a good life, healthy life, I have to observe the native rules and regulations. Then only we will be wealthier in spirit. See, I love cows because cow is really intimately connected with the man. We get everything from the cow, so we have to love cow. We have to maintain cow in a natural way, not in an unnatural way. Nobody can separate cow from our life. I deeply love cow. This is Thomas. He was my classmate, and he is now with me. He loves the cows as I do. He looks after cows very well. Then he feeds them. He takes all the cows for grazing, and he is a trustworthy person. I started collecting indigenous cows about 25 years ago. Why I collected this is to conserve the valuable indigenous cows, just to show the next coming generation, these are the cows we had in India in the past. Now I have about 17 varieties of indigenous cows. Some are dwarf, some are medium size, and some are very huge cows. Indigenous cows want indigenous food. We need not feed them. They go to the forest and graze and come back in the evening. That is a natural way of rearing the cow. They eat at least 50 kinds of medicinal leaves a day. Then naturally its milk will have the medicinal value. Government says that they are for the production of milk. Here indigenous breed produce more milk than the hybrid do. My greatest wish is that everyone should collect and conserve one of the indigenous cows. In that way, we can save the country.
So this is another topic of about the cows. Can you talk a little bit about the indigenous and the gear, why we should have those as the goal instead of the hybrids, your Holsteins and your Jersey cows?
So we have Hare Krishna. So this, since we are living in Silicon Valley, our cows, cow we have Surubi is also not in indigenous cows, but there is a big opportunity that we are working on it to bring a indigenous cows, which is already in Brazil and Mexico and Texas. They have a lot of gear cows already, and if you go to a supermarket, you see a T-shirt which is made in India, they're exporting. Like that, they are exporting all these cows to other countries. And the best breed cows like Gir, Zebu, and few other indigenous cows, which having it's like a Brahmin cow they call, and but there is other they made in North America with mixing five breed cows. They made a Brahmin cow, which is not with a European mixture, which is not, it's according to Bhagavad Gita, it's Varna Sankara, but by Krishna's mercy, we have the opportunity, and we also made a small committee in our temple. Daiva Prabhu, who is sitting in front, and few other devotees, myself, all involved. And he is now giving us milk, enough milk. In the weekend, his service is to distribute milk. Jai Hari Bol. So, and he is naturally connected. Nobody asked him to do that service. But what I am trying to say is, any cow production is important. Somehow or other we have to involve. It's more dear to Krishna is that if you do the best thing, for the Lord. When you offer a best boga for the Lord, He will be pleased. I have an example in London. Before they used to offer a milk to the deities, which is comes from the supermarket, like all the temples. But they started giving ahimsa milk for the deities. Londoners for the deity, the suit, the Lord's dress becoming tight. Because Lord started eating the sweets, the milk sweets in the morning offering. So all this, all the things which we do, which is very pleasing to Krishna. So even the Sankirtan book distribution and offering this seva, Rushikena, Rushikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. You are offering your senses to Krishna. So just try to involve, and we are having the cow table at least monthly twice, and I am sure all are getting our cow products. And in that context, our board also agreed to get a ahimsa ghee from India. Right now I ordered 150 kgs ghee. Our temple consumes more ghee. It's on the way in the flight now. It may reach by Nityanand Trayodasi, I'm expecting. So ideally we should make ghee here so that we can expand to all other communities and all the place, but we'll get there soon. So if you have any other questions, and Daiva Prabhu is my mentor and he is explaining how to, he took us to a farm in Hawaii where they have 8 cows, and it's like feast for me, just stay 2 days there. Like they have paneer, unlimited paneer, like from morning to evening in 3. So I was starving and don't want to come back here, but I had to come back for my services. So anyway, we have a lot to say, but we would like to take some questions. If you have any more questions, you can talk to Prabhu, Suryakunda Prabhu or myself. Daiva Prabhu can give his email address. As Vaisheshika Prabhu says, everybody doing little bit. Each and everybody can contribute any like their seva to the mother cow. Not only worshipping in the altar, but physically also. In January 1st, we went to see our mother Surabhi in Watsonville. Ganesh Prabhu is here. He is with me. When we are doing the Go Puja for the cow, it's evening time. Without milking, the milk started coming, and we videotaped it, and it's amazing. I never seen that. Like I was doing Go Puja, and the milk is pouring down, and we took a Achamanam cup and took the milk. It's so nice experience, and we shared that milk to everybody, those who came for Go Puja. And Gomate Vasate Lakshmi. The cow is if you have cow, then the Lakshmi will come automatically. So please take this opportunity, and 2017 will be a big year for cow protection. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Any question? Feel free to ask Daiva Prabhu. He is the cow herd.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Thank you so much for making us realize how pertinent cow protection is in our devotional practice. I had a question. So being in Bay Area, working 5 days a week, I work with colleagues who eat cow meat, beef and all, and I want to help in that way as well. I've tried talking with some people. They don't feel good when they see, when I show them the videos, but they still eat. So how can I help in my regular job, Prashadam? Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, Prabhupada looked around the room at all, the disciples one time, and he said, "You have all come because of prasadam." Yeah, like I mentioned, that quote Prabhupada made in Hawaii, kachori, samosa. Are you a good cook? Yeah, is she a good cook? Good cook, yeah. What's your specialty?
Banana bread.
Give them banana bread. Yeah, take it to all the meetings, and just be known as the banana bread lady. Yeah.
It does sadden my heart, and I do speak with one of my colleagues. He's my teammate. He's very close to me. He's very spiritual in his thoughts, but he does eat cow meat. And when I show him, and he knows about Indian history, like cows are worshipped in India, and he wants to know about the culture. I tried getting him here at the temple as well, but I have not succeeded in my attempts.
Get a container of ahimsa ghee when it comes in, and put it in your banana bread. They need to have ghee. No, really, scientifically, Prabhupada said that this taste for the blood of the cow, it can be done through ghee and milk, and because it's the blood of the cow transformed, but instead of taken in a violent way. So my Hawaiian friend that I was telling you about, who explained about the water, he said, I have to have blood every day. He died of a heart attack, but the blood of there's a taste in the blood of the cow, but it can be. I remember one time I dropped some ghee on the open flame on the fire, and it reminded me of, I was a meat eater, it reminded me of meat, the way it was smelling a little bit. But yeah, it's the blood of the cow transformed. You were raised pure vegetarian your whole life, right?
No, I was eating meat.
You were eating meat? So for me, I was eating meat my whole life. And I see that I came around, and saw the light, and now I'm promoting, cow protection. So give them prasadam. If they are of logic and reason, give them a cookbook. When I used to distribute books, I always carried higher taste cookbooks with me also, because I wanted them to start eating prasadam. And that's a very good book, because the first few chapters are all about why and the ethics, so many reasons. Let them read that if they have a logical mind. And then prasadam, and then your banana bread. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
With ghee, ahimsa ghee. So sign her up. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for that wonderful class. So I have like two questions. The first one is, I've gone back and forth with the whole vegan thing. I was vegan for a while, and then I'm not anymore, and then I was, and I'm not. Is one argument which I've heard is that, of course, I know that the milk which is in the market is himsa, and the cows will get slaughtered afterwards, or they're not even treated nicely during. But the other argument one devotee gave me, which kind of convinced my mind, was that she said that if you offer the milk of that cow to Krishna, that cow will get benefited.
Agyata Sukriti, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how should I resolve? Like, should I drink milk, and like, what is like, how do I resolve this conundrum, like, between the two different sides? And since we were talking, my second question was that since we're talking about, since the topic of meat eating came up, nowadays there's like this new, which I think is really nice. It's like 100% plant-based, but it tastes like, it emulates meat. It's not meat, but it's completely from like plants. So I mean, I thought that if devotees support, like, what's the devotees views on that? Should we reject it for tasting similar to meat, or should we promote it? Because if you promote something like that, it will be more accessible to more people. It'll maybe convince meat eaters to stop eating meat.
Promoted how? Or
like, even if you just buy it in the market, and if those developers,
for people you're preaching to, or
like friends who are like on the borderline and they
Oh.
can't leave meat, but you give them something like that, and they think, oh, now I don't need to eat it, and stuff like that. Those two questions.
Yeah, for the real hardcore meat eaters, probably, anything that helps. But better to give them samosa and kachori, ghee-laden, prasadam. I mean, I speak from experience. When the temple I visit using ghee for the deities, I can tell the difference. And in the old days when I first joined, and I was going to the temple for prasadam, my God, where is this from? It was, and you taste Jagannath Puri prasadam. They only cook in clay pots, and they have such a high standard. You know that what they do to offer? They take an Achman cup with a spoon in front of Jagannath, and if you can't see his reflection in the spoon, they won't offer it. So they have to have that is tasted by Krishna. Ghee, and then back to your original question, they have to, if you're offering, even hingsa milk to Krishna, those cows will benefit. But as an excuse, we should go for the goal of increasing the planet and turning it into Goloka instead of Egoloka. Yeah, and does that answer? Yeah. Okay. But better something than whatever. It's an individual case. Some people are more addicted to the taste of blood and flesh than others. Like my parents say, they never became vegetarian, but towards the end, my mother was chanting Hare Krishna, on praying the rosary, and my father was inquiring about chanting and like that. So you only do so much, but the more people get prasadam, they have to get the positive alternative. Just like people can't advance without chanting Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada said prasadam is the diet, and Hare Krishna mantra is the medicine. So we have to prescribe both, and somehow get them hooked up. And prasadam's our secret weapon. Yeah, we're the kitchen religion. Mm-hmm. Mataji in the back. Yeah.
It's a rather convoluted question on a philosophical is about all the people that are born in the world and they die without being aware of Krishna consciousness. There are millions like that out there. And these people do eat cow meat. And what about these people that follow their own lifestyle out of ignorance because they don't know a better way, but then they are good people? What happens of these millions out there that are not aware that there's a better way, but they are good people and they can't break away from traditions they were born into?
That are good people, but
in general,
but they died. Well, I could
but they eat cow meat. So my question is, what
and
happens?
Contact with Krishna consciousness at all?
No, I mean, I'm just talking about the general population that are not aware of the Krishna consciousness. So we're all part of the same. Like we're all the same. So we are aware. So we are changing our lifestyle. Like you said, you saw the light, and those are not fortunate enough to see the light. What happens?
Karmana Daiva Netrena, the laws of nature continue to work, and it's their karma somehow or other to be, to not come in contact with Krishna consciousness due to their desires. But maybe somewhere along the line they did come in contact. Prabhupada said just seeing the books, people benefit. Maybe they, I'm surprised when I meet somebody who know anything about Krishna, or but we're few devotees compared to the 7 billion on the planet, right? It's karma. It's karma na Daiva Netrena. Krishna is in charge of everyone's destiny. Because Prabhupada told us that if an animal gets prasadam one time, they're guaranteed human form of life. Right. If a human gets prasadam once in their life, they're guaranteed to become devotees in their next life. Right.
And I have another question. It's about the question that she asked about her colleagues that are, and you can't, the saying, you can take the horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. So, I mean, she can do her best, but that's the extent of that she can.
Yeah.
But what if our best is not making a difference? That's my question. Especially with the cow program, because I was in East Vrindavan, I was there when the Protect the Cow program initiative, my father's a part of it. I'm just wondering even if with all our efforts, considering how everything is going on in the world right now, what if it doesn't make a difference?
Oh, it does. Go ahead. Prabhupada predicted that millions of people will take to Krishna consciousness because of the cow on our villages. And Lord Chaitanya predicted that within the Kali Yuga, it's also described that everyone's already liberated. Yeah, by Lord Chaitanya's coming 500 years ago, the demigods are praying to take birth in Lord Chaitanya's movement right now. But the whole, Prabhupada said there would be no green on the planet growing, nothing green, if it wasn't for the chanting that we're all doing. Right. So there's a bigger plan. It's not that Krishna is going to neglect these poor people that due to their animosity toward Krishna, that they're not externally approaching him, but they'll benefit and they'll come in contact because they did get a human form of life. So many souls will be liberated. We see it from a material perspective, but spiritually, from Krishna's perspective, he loves everyone so dearly that he's going to make some arrangement somehow there to get them to transform and get the mercy. The mercy is described like it's a flood of love of Godhead, and when there's a flood, even people who don't mean to, they get caught up in it somehow or other. So just continue. Don't lose faith that your humble efforts aren't making a difference, because you're part of this whole community. You're part of the whole spiritual community. Prabhupada said, United Nations of the spiritual world. The more we do these activities, and get involved in these 4 waves of the Sankirtan movement, the more the flood of love of Godhead will spread. So from the cup,
Bigger perspective.
the cup being half full instead of half empty. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Just to add a comment to that, it is also, we are all become devotees because some devotees prayed for us.
Right.
And if you give a book and you give a prasadam, and we have to pray for them, and rest Krishna will take care. Like, I mean, somehow or other we are all working for the, like, beef eaters, I mean, at least in the corporate world. But we all get ugra karma for sure. But when you contribute to this service, Krishna is Bhava Grahi Jana. He knows the essence you are doing. And Krishna works one to one. He doesn't work many to one. And when he deals with this, then I mean, ultimately they all get Sukruti by just taking prasadam and reading Prabhupada books. So, thank you.
But there's stories in our scriptures of they never had any pious credits, and somehow they get this incredible mercy. So it could also come, I was remembering how Prabhupada said, and it says in Bhagavatam that if a family member becomes a devotee, then, and especially a pure devotee, then generations back and forth, so many become liberated. So they may just get causeless mercy. But Prabhupada said we shouldn't wait for that kind of mercy, like an honorary degree. You have to work for it. So that's why we practice sadhana bhakti.
I also have one comment to that Prabhu who asked, like you offer the milk to Krishna, if it is Himsa milk, then cow will be benefited. But in olden days there used to be a Brahmanas who chants the mantras and prayers. By their pure chanting, the cow get elevated to a next human body. But in this Kali Yuga, where you can find a Brahmana, where you can, of course, Prabhupada disciples, we have pure devotees, but to chant that mantras and to get that potency it's not easy. So, and even tobacco comes from the plant, right? Tobacco. We cannot offer tobacco to Krishna. Can we offer? No. Because they say it's a plant source. That's why it's a Himsa milk, means when Krishna ultimately won't be pleased. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, that's a wrong analogy. Better to take a Himsa milk. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
If it's offered to the Lord, it's not first class to offer to the Lord, but if it is offered to Krishna, because even the little mouse that had his tail caught was on the altar and got caught in the ghee lamp, and he's burned his tail, but Krishna accepts it as an artik, So yeah, you're coming from a perspective of real pure, yeah.
We should not take that as granted, and
right.
We never get there.
But you agree that they do benefit.
I don't know. I asked some other
people. You asked somebody and said no?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
But anyway.
More research
yes,
on that one. Okay.
If no questions, we have Aarti. You can start. So.
Jai, thank you for the opportunity to get your association. Jai Prabhupada, Hare Krishna. Om Shri Surabhyaya Namaha.
Yeah,
so,
there is a website called srisurabhi.org. We can show you on the banner in the announcements. His Grace Daiva Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanand.